What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid and welcome to another guide for Atelier Yumia. In this video we are going to be going over how to create the perfect accessories, and these are going to be such insane damage boosts that you are quite literally going to one-shot everything on charismatic difficulty, the highest difficulty in the game. So yeah, maybe don't sleep on these, okay? So, let's just jump right into it, shall we? Because we're going to be talking about how to maximize stats, what items you're going to use, and of course, the traits that you are going to use as well, which might actually surprise you. So, first of all, we are going to completely ignore item rebuilding. We do not need it for this item. We can get stats in every single slot, and, well, item rebuilding stats are terrible anyway. So, let's go. Okay, when it comes to the items in question, we are going to be using two. There is the Serpentia Annulus and the Jester's Mask. The reason we're going to be using these two are because of the effects the items have. Now, for the purpose of this video, we're only going to go through the synthesis of the Jester's Mask, as I do have that saved already. However, the process is literally identical in the Serpentia. So you basically just have to repeat everything you're about to see for this as well. Let's talk about why we are going to use these two specifically, though. So obviously with the Serpentia, it's no surprise that items are ridiculously over-the-top mega broken in this game, so we're going to make them even stronger by using the item damage up ability from this, and of course the reduce item cooldown as well. That's going to shave us off at 10% of the cooldown there, and item damage is also going to increase by 30%, which is really nice, of course, along with all the other effects we're going to get on it. So yeah, we definitely want to make really good use of these. These are by far the best two accessories in the game for this, because the others are honestly F tier. These are S tier. Okay, now for the Jester's Mask. The reason we're going to be using this one is once again because of the ability. So first of all, we have boost critical rate and increases critical damage. When maxed, both of these are going to be boosted by 30%. And of course, combined with other items and effects, we are going to end up with over 100% critical rate without using any traits, which for one in particular character is going to be insane. So yeah, that's why we're using that. As for Jack in the Box, this basically just reduces the chances of being targeted and increases damage by 30% when attacking a target from behind. So a nice little 30% damage boost right there, as long as you're behind the enemy. And finally, Silent Steps, which honestly doesn't really do anything for us. But hey, it's an effect, right? Now, as for the core ingredients, obviously the new Iliad and the pure truffles are forced. For the two flowers, we are going to be using Dunkelheits, so make sure you have S rank versions of them so we can gain the core boost effect. As for the new Iliad, I know you guys might not be able to find them because there's only one freaking gathering spot in the entire game for this. It is in the final area to the north of the bottom left-hand base. It's down on the fishing docks, so go there and you can fish them up. So, first things first, let's just go ahead. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. Let's go ahead and load our saved synthesis, shall we? So there is going to be the final result of this item for us. It's going to have 450 HP, 970 defense, 566 attack, and 555 speed. That will be boosted more later, though. Now, the reason we're going much higher on defense here is because attacks and skills are terrible. Items do literally all the damage you're ever going to need. However, if you do want to play with skills, simply change some things around, which I will talk about in a minute, simply to boost your attack. However, that's crazy. Just go with items. So you basically want as much defense as possible on your equipment. So let's jump into it, shall we? Now, in terms of what skills we're going to be using in this synthesis, obviously we are going to be using the draw out abilities, which basically gives you an extra 50% stats from any items you place in. So think along the lines of Philosopher's Stones, ingots, cloths, stuff like that. The stat gain is going to be increased by 50%, which is way better than any of the other abilities you can possibly use. Of course, this is a post-game synthesis skill, though, so you do need to be in the post game to unlock that. Okay, So obviously we have all the cores here. We have the free effect cores, and then we have the traits core and the quality core. We are, of course, going to fill all of these with items for lovely, lovely stats. So let's take a look at the first core and we will move along. Now, first of all, the new Iliad is quite obvious. You are forced to put this in. Now, I only have an A rank. I do not have an S rank. However, I'm pretty sure the speed up level is still level 3 for the S rank. If not, then try get an S rank and you might end up with a little bit more speed on your finished result. As for that though, well, other than that A rank right there, everything else on this item is perfect. So, we are going to be using a lot of the Sage coat, simply due to the fact it gives defense up plus level 10 and all stats up level 5. So that is going to be the best defensive boost we can get in pretty much all of these slots. Now you might notice there are three slots that don't have the Sage's coat. So the very top one, we cannot put a Sage's coat in there, so we've put a perfect Grand Organ, which, yes, gives us all stats level up level 5, and of course, it's an attack up plus level 10. So it's just getting a little extra attack there. As for this one right here, this one requires animal materials. Now, unfortunately, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't here. You pretty much have to choose whether you want HP, attack, speed, defense, up level 3. You can only get level up 3 on all of those different stats. So I'm going with defense, which comes from an S rank ancient fossil. However, if you want to change that up, just go to effects and basically pick your poison. It also doesn't matter if you do rebuild, you can only get level 3 on them as well. So again, just go with an S rank for any of these that you want. Now, after the ancient fossil, down here we are unfortunately kind of screwed because we are limited to a puny material only. And unfortunately, there's not really anything we can stick in here that gives us much. So I ended up just sticking an S rank puny fossil in there. Everything else, you can't get any stats, unfortunately. So you're damned if you do, and damned if you don't. Just stick anything in there. Or you can leave it empty. It's entirely up to you. It doesn't matter. Moving on to the next alchemy core. So this is a forced pure truffle alchemy core. It doesn't give us anything, like there's no core boost, unfortunately. And then once again, we are just going to completely dump in the sage coat and the grand organs everywhere, except for right here where we are forced to use an elixir, and the best item to put there is a perfect philosopher's stone for the all stats up level 5. Now, let's move on to the third alchemy core, shall we? So, pretty much once again, okay, this time we do have a flower alchemy core where we can put any flower. Now, you do want to use a Dunkelheit here, an S-rank Dunkelheit. The reason for that, okay, is going to be because of the omnipotent flower. Boosts quality and all stats when added to a core. Now, if you really wanted to, you can change that for something like an Immortal Bloom, where you get HP up plus level 10. It will give you a little bit more HP, however, you will lose stats across the board. So I do strongly suggest using the Dunkelheit. As for everything else, as you can see, we pretty much follow the exact same pattern. It's just sage coats everywhere for the extra defense. Obviously, if you want higher attack and speed instead of defense, use the grand organs instead of sage coats. Right here, we are forced to use a grand organ, however, as we couldn't stick a sage coat there, unfortunately. Over here, it's exactly the same thing. We are forced to use a metal ingredient, so a grand organ is above and beyond the best option we have. And then, of course, down here, we are forced to use a neutralizer, which, conveniently, the Philosopher's Stone counts as. So we're going to throw one in there, just for the all stats boost again. Moving on now. So this time we are back to a pure truffle requirement, so we don't get any core boost there, unfortunately. You already know the deal for the sage coat and the grand organs. Obviously we use a grand organ where we can't use a sage coat. This one, however, has a little difference right here. So we do have a poison slot. Now, unfortunately for poison, we don't really have anything that great other than the malicious chain. The reason we use malicious chain is because of the attack and defense up and attack and speed up abilities, both of which can go as high as level 7. So we're going to throw that in as it is above and beyond the best stat gain for poison items. Then, At the very top here, we have Medicinal. Now, unfortunately, Medicinal sucks. It really, really sucks. Obviously, when we get DLC, we are going to get new items. There is a very good chance that DLC might change this, but unfortunately, you're kind of limited in what you can do here. Even with S-rank base materials and all synthesis items made, the only thing we can really get is synthesis HP up, unfortunately. And once again, the highest level you can get is HP up level 3 from an S rank Alder Garlic. You can get some rebuild boost HP level 3s as well from other items, but I would honestly just choose to use the Alder Garlic because then you don't have to mess around with rebuild. Just a shame there's nothing better for medicinal that we can actually put in there. Moving over to the final alchemy core, once again we have a flower requirement, so you know for a fact we're putting the Dunkelheit in there just to gain the extra stat boost. Then we're going to follow along with our usual sage coat. We have to put a grand organ in here. Likewise, we have to put a philosopher's stone in here. We are forced to use a grand organ here as well. Then we actually mix things up a little. So here we have gemstones. Now, gemstones are obviously your base materials. Unfortunately, once again, we're kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. The best thing that we have available is an Adamant, an S-rank Adamant, which gives us HP up level 5. The other abilities, like defense, speed, and attack, unfortunately only go as high as level 3 on the other items. So we're going to go with the highest level ability, which is HP. And that's why we've stuck the Adamant in there. And there we go. So that is all 5 cores gone over. We've obviously done these skills already. So let's just go ahead and synthesize this because this is not the end of the road. And oh, we actually get free quantity, so that'll make life a little bit easier. We're only going to bother working on one though, because then we're just going to duplicate it. But let's just go ahead and skip the synthesis. And now we have the item made. But we're not done. It's time to make it better. So, one of the things you are going to need is you are obviously going to need a forge. Ignore why I have 2 here. I did originally have this one, but it's too bright for the video because of that lamp, and I can't remove it without destroying my house. What you are going to need, though, is anvils. Anvils will increase the stats you gain when using the forge on equipment. You only really need 1. I just have a bunch because I was testing if multiple really affected it. It doesn't. 1 is all you need. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the forge, we're going to choose the Jester's Mask that we just made, and now we have 3 items that we can go ahead and put on there. We have the Wisdom component, we have the metal part, and we have the Primal Remains. Now, what we're going to do here is, obviously, we can make 2 different accessories, okay? We are getting critical rate boosts from our accessory as on its own, so what I like to do is we're going to add even more critical to this accessory because realistically, you can completely ignore the wisdom component. All stats up, sure, kind of nice. You gain 130 stats across the board. Enhanced Mana Surge and Extended Mana Surge is terrible. Mana Surge stops you from using items. And of course, items are quite literally 100 times better than using skills. So we're going to completely ignore Mana Surge. That leaves us with 2. We can either have item up and item cooldown from the metal part with a defensive increase as well, or we can have attack, critical rate, and critical damage up. Now, obviously, we're using items, which means you either want to use the metal part or the Primal Remains. Now, for the Jester's Mask, I'm going to use a Primal Remains, simply due to the fact that, along with another Primal Remains on an armor and on a weapon, gives you 100% critical hit. Or, if you really want to, you can do, you know, as long as you use 3 Primal Remains on 3 of your pieces of equipment. So basically, you have 4 slots. You have 2 accessories, a weapon, and an armor. Use Primal Remains on 3 of those for guaranteed 100% critical, basically. And then on your final one, you want to use metal parts, basically just for the extra item damage. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and throw the Primal Remains on our Jester's Mask, and that is going to increase our attack on it. So as you can see right now, it's 130 attack higher, it's level 13 critical rate up and level 13 critical damage up. That is going to be a huge, insane boost to the damage. Okay, so if we just go to equip that really quickly, obviously I'm going to take it off right after, simply due to the fact I am going to duplicate it. There it is. So first of all, as you can see, massive stat gain across the board. And now let's talk traits. So first of all, I already have some traits on this one. We have Item Expert, Fire Boost, and Ice Boost. Okay, these are all rank 6 traits, which are extremely important. You definitely want to use rank 6, considering its ultimate gear. So what we're going to do right now on the Jester's Mask is, once again, okay, we're going to filter by rank. We are going to use an Item Expert, simply due to the fact it's an extra 30% item damage. Obviously, we have that twice, so we're essentially getting 60% extra item damage. And then we're going to use a Bolt Boost rank 6 and Air Boost rank 6. Obviously, we already have Fire and Ice on my other accessory. You want all 4 elemental boosts here, because the best item in the game has all 4 elements. So you're essentially getting 120% extra damage there. Not quite, just because of the way it's calculated, but you get the gist. And of course, we don't really have much trait selection options available, so this is definitely by far the best that it's worked out at. Item Expert on both, and then one of each elemental boost on the items in question. And there we go, guys. That is how you create the perfect accessories for Atelier Yumia. Obviously, once you've made your Jester's Mask, just do the exact same for the Sapientia, because the process is literally identical, pretty much. You just go through the cores looking for your core boost abilities. Obviously, for the skills, you use drawn out abilities just for the extra stat gain. Other than that, process is identical. So that is going to be the end of this little guide, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I really hope it has helped. If it has, then please be sure to smash that like button, and of course, drop a comment down below, as it greatly helps the channel out. And if you want to see any more guides for Atelier Yumia, they are in the playlist linked at the top of the video description. So go nuts, create all the super overpowered stuff, and have fun one-shotting everything the game offers. And of course, if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. As always, though, everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.